Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to A Young Fire. My name is Tumi WMJ and thank you so much for joining me for today's video. A Young Fire is a channel for young people who are on fire for God, people who are passionate about purpose, and of course enthusiastic about life and their future. If you believe you're one of those people, do ensure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never get to miss out on a video that we post on this channel. If you're already part of the Fire Fam, thank you so much for coming back and thank you for continually spreading the fire. Today is Youth Day, so I would like to wish all the young South Africans a happy Youth Day. I wish you progress, I wish you success, I wish you power and purpose, and of course, some genuine love. So in today's video, we're going to be honoring not only the youth of 1976, but also giving some power to the youth of 2020. Growing up, I've always heard about June 16 and the narrative that surrounded it. And I remember how it was always presented as a racial activity and how it was always portrayed as a racial activity and a racial struggle rather than one of education and solidarity and young people who saw something that was wrong and were fighting for a specific cause. As much as education is part of the thread, you know, that is there, that keeps on being reiterated, because we know that June 16 means that young people, it means that even old people get dressed in uniform and maybe parade the streets and enjoy life and celebrate the youth. It's a public holiday in South Africa, so that means majority of South Africans don't get to go to work. So you can sit at home, you can enjoy, you can take some rest, and of course go to some events that commemorate Youth Day, right? So one thing that I have always heard and it has always reiterated in the conversation is how the young people fought against the Afrikaners, but they were fighting for education, and sometimes that narrative gets lost, you know, it gets lost in translation and gets lost in how people portray June 16, you know. So June 16 was the young people fighting for education. The reason why they were fighting was because they were tired of being taught in Afrikaans, because I mean the subject matter is already challenging as it is. So imagine now it being challenging because of the language you are learning in. You know, I did Afrikaans in school. I went to a double medium school, and I can tell you how challenging it was, because the whole time we were doing the okay, this was a day in our class, right? A teacher would take a textbook and say, "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Goeiemôre, dames en heren. Vandaag ons gaan wiskunde leer. Today we're going to learn maths." You know, and it was hard, because I would imagine, right, how if the English wasn't there, how was I going to cope with just the Afrikaans? And I can tell you now, it was going to be horrible. I was probably going to flunk most of my high school life, because I started Afrikaans in grade 5. So I had learned in English all my life. So coming, and I had done Setswana as a home language. So my home language wasn't English, it was Setswana. So when I now came to Joburg, we were now learning English as a home language and then Afrikaans as the first additional language. You can just imagine when you are being taught in that language purely, you are being taught in Afrikaans purely. There's nothing wrong with Afrikaans. It's a beautiful language, and the people who speak it may continue to enjoy it and of course be proud and enjoy their language. But I feel that it was a bit unnecessary and a bit unjust for the system at the time to think that everybody should be taught in the language, especially because it was not even a language that was native to them at the time. Taking to the streets of Soweto in 1976, I can just imagine what would have happened if it was in our time. We have seen how the youth of 2015 and 2016, 2017 even, have taken to the streets and fought for education in the same way, right? I've always asked myself if education should be something so expensive, especially when we look at its value and its contribution to our society, because from where South Africa comes from as a nation and as people, I feel like we need to put it first, and we need to put education as one of the basic needs. It might be in our Bill of Rights, but it needs to be in our actions as well. It needs to be in the way we do things, you know. Young people should be taught that education is the way to go, and not necessarily only formal education, education in its broader aspects, education in our everyday lives, you know, allowing ourselves to have a teachable spirit and allowing ourselves to be teachable as a people. You know, I have seen how we can be in situations a lot and people don't have a teachable spirit. You know, we see it in corporate spaces, we see it in social spaces, we see it on the social media streets, you know, when we are engaging on a specific topic and you see people that might not know a lot about that topic but are talking a lot, and you find that they are misinformed and they are misguided and their opinions is not formulated based on education. And when we are talking about education, we are not talking about sitting in a specific school and sitting in a class and reading a book, but sometimes going onto a blog and reading something, going onto the latest news that is happening in the country, the current affairs. That is you educating yourself. You know, I learned like a couple of years ago, I think it was election time, and I was learning so much about how the election works and what it means to be part of an election. And I felt so taken aback because a lot of young people in South Africa don't understand how some of these things and how some of these systems work. And that places us at a disadvantage because people don't get to know how the system works. People don't get to know how these things work, you know. It doesn't necessarily mean just because you are not an accountant, you should not know how income tax works. It doesn't mean that just because you're not an engineer, you shouldn't know how buildings are erected and how those things operate. There's layman knowledge and there is face-to-face knowledge, if you can call it that, where you can be able to converse about something and for you to have a broader and even a deeper understanding of something, you know, so that you can live an informed life. You know, people need to always inform themselves about things. We need to inform ourselves about our health issues. We need to inform ourselves about our bodies. We need to inform ourselves about our spirit. We need to inform ourselves about religion. We need to inform ourselves about each and every single space that we find ourselves. I always say that people are formed by different things. You know, you are formed by your physical being, you're formed by your mental health and your intellect. You're also formed by your spirit and your relationship with the higher power, and of course by your vocation, and another important thing, which is the people and the social settings that you find yourself. So it's very important for you to educate yourself about these spaces. And this is the struggle that I think 2020 is about. The 2020 struggle is about education. It's about information. That is the struggle that we have now. Because in this day and age, when you are misinformed, you lose yourself. Things can happen with you without you knowing, and you can just wool can be pulled over your eyes, and you might not even be able to tell where you have gone wrong and how you can live a fulfilled life. You know, I always say that on this channel we want to talk about these things, and we want to talk about issues that can move us forward and allow us to progress as a people. So in 1976, the youth then fought for education in the space of the classroom. They were fighting for education sitting in front of a teacher and the teacher teaching. The education we are fighting for now is between the us now and the us we can be tomorrow. You know, our potential, the future us, the potential us, the future Tumi, the future whoever is watching this. And the more we grow up, the more we see that if we have information about these things, our lives can become better. You know, you can adult better as a person. You can be better in a marriage because you are more informed about how to deal with somebody else. I feel like we're always talking about marriage. You know, you can be more informed when you're doing these things. You know, you can be more informed when you are going into different settings, into social settings, about your life as a whole. You know, you can be more informed about the kind of cars that you must buy, you know, about the way you should raise your kids, you know, different things that we need to really inform ourselves about. The education struggle that we are fighting now is not between us and the formal system, but it's between us and the informal system of education, which is us, you know. When I mean us, I'm talking about the current you and the you that you can be tomorrow, the potential you that is standing on the other side of tomorrow. If you do some things today, you know, every day we are progressing, we are growing in each day, and information allows you to move from the level that you are to the next higher level, you know. So today I'm going to be showing you guys some of the things that I do to try and educate myself about topics and issues that I feel are important to my life, and things that I feel like they are going to impact me in some way or somehow. I really hope this is going to be helpful for you, because I mean, who doesn't want to be a better person? Who doesn't want to move from one level to another? So you open a folder on your laptop called self-schooling, right? And then you use that folder to put the different topics that you would like to learn about or that you've got interest in, right? I started doing this in 2015, and what I would do is that I would open that folder and start hoying articles and newspaper articles, links and whatever in there. So the best way for you to do it is that inside the self-schooling folder, you open, maybe for example, I did product management, weight loss, I had also put agile and scrum. I would put stuff like software development, and these were the kind of things that I was interested in the time to learn about. So what I would do is that at different times in the day or different times in the month or whatever, however much you would like to do it, at the time I was doing it like once or twice a week. I would look for articles on the internet that speak about that thing. So what I would do is that I would search a specific topic and then put .pdf at the end, so that it only suggests to you PDFs and things that you can download to your laptop, right? And then you download them. At least do like 2 or 3, 5 at the most, so that you just don't get overwhelmed by the knowledge. And grab a book or grab an exam pad or a couple of pages, something that you can obviously keep, so that you don't like confuse yourself and have things everywhere, right? Just to be a little bit organized. And then looking these articles in there, put these articles like periodically, and then take out time, maybe on a Saturday morning or on a Friday evening if you don't have anywhere to go, or whenever it's convenient for you. Take out time and read those articles. Make notes as if okosgela, like as if okoskolo. You know, you would see how this is going to make your life so much better. You know, you're going to be reading about these articles. You're going to be reading these articles. And you're going to be gaining knowledge that you can immediately practicalize. You know, you might not have to be writing exams about it, but you will see how that information sticks, and that information makes you a better person. You become more open to understanding what happens in your vocation, in the things that are around you, in the things that you are interested in. You know, you get to see practically when you are reading about a specific chapter, or you're reading something specific. You will see if 2 or 3 authors speak about the same thing. You will see their views, and you'll be able to critically look at that and analyze what, this is what Clement said about project management, and this is what Scott said about it, this is what Harvey says about it. You know, and then you become some sort of like a subject matter expert, because you are learning these different things from these different people, and at the end it allows you to formulate your opinion. So it's one of the things that I was doing, and I did that for like a couple of subjects that I was interested in at the time, some that I'm still interested in, and some that I have even been able to go to formal school and understand. And even when you're sitting in that school now, you understand what's happening, you understand what's going on, you know, because you've self-schooled. And it's not specifically for broad subjects like that. Even simple things like how to buy a house, you know, how to buy a car, you know, things about interest rates, about unit trust and investments, you know, learning about relationships, about love languages, like anything that you are interested in at the time, you know, anything that you feel that you need to know about, so that when you are even in conversations with other people, you know, the thing that you are talking about is not only at surface level. You've got some depth to you, you know, it creates some kind of depth. You become someone who carries some weight, because you are not just waffling about things, you're not just talking about things, you're not just like, people are not talking about the repo rate, and people are excited about the repo rate, and you're just like, government, come on. Not in this day and age. You don't have that liberty anymore, and that is why I'm saying that this is the kind of struggle that we are exposed to right now. You know, yes, you might not be getting to learn things in Afrikaans. Yes, you might not be fighting the system of apartheid, but you are fighting the system that is you currently, and the system that could be you tomorrow. You know, you are fighting between your current self and your potential self. That is so important, guys. That is where you get to see how you can take your future into your own hands and become a better person. Udemy courses, Coursera, edX, things like TEDx, TED Talks, such simple things where you open yourself up to learning about stuff, information, the way it's best for you. Some people prefer to watch videos, some people prefer to read. I personally do whatever works. Whatever works. Anywhere where I can get information, I will sit and I'll consume. Just a couple of months ago, edX, in partnership with Harvard, opened online courses, over 50 to 60 subjects that people could have learned about free of charge. There were 6-week courses, 8-week courses that people could have learned, and some people are opening up these challenges, and it is up to you to take advantage of them. People that might not even understand the history that we have as a country, or the history that we have as a nation. Because honestly, when we delve deeper into our history and into our nation, we see that our parents and even the generation before that didn't really have information about how things worked, and even if they had information, it was very surface level. And as time progressed, things have changed. So even in the change, you need to be able to adapt and to see how things work for us currently as a people and as a nation. We need to open ourselves up for these things. We need to open ourselves up for these channels, and allow ourselves to get to know this information and use it. Be able to take that information and practicalize it in your personal life, practicalize it in your vocation, practicalize it in your spiritual walk, in your career, in your relationships, and in whatever space that you are in. Which leads me to this next point that I want to talk about. The circles that we find ourselves in, guys, are important. I find myself a lot with people, talking to people, and maybe I was just calling the person to check up on them, and before I know it, we've been talking for an hour to 2 hours, because we are now sharing knowledge about something specific. Gone are the days where we are talking about fluffy stuff and things that don't benefit us and don't have eternal value to us, to our lives, and to our futures. It's time that when you are speaking to your friends, when you're speaking to your family, when you're speaking to the people in your social circles, you ask for advice. You ask them questions about specific things. You steer the conversation to subjects that you would like to know more about. I was randomly talking to a friend a couple of weeks ago, and we ended up talking about property. We were talking property investments, what to do, the kind of risk that you open up yourself to when you open the kind of risk that you open up yourself to when you go into the property market, when you go into leasing and letting, when you become a landlord, when you go into property development, those little things, and getting to gain information about such things so that knowing and knowledge is very important. It's the first step, because practicalizing and actioning is the next step, of course, but the first thing that you need to have is knowledge. You need to know where you are going. You need to know the things that you need to know the things that you need to know about the things you need to know. So it's very important. I can't stress it enough. When we are on Instagram and when we are on Twitter, when we are on social media, on Facebook and all of those things, let us look out for the people that educate you. Even on social media, I'm going to do a video about social media in the series, in the season rather, and I'm looking forward to that because I really love social media. But that's something that we will do. But even when you are there, look out for things that educate you, and the people that educate you, the people who tell you stuff that is important. There are people that like hakuna substance, hakuna cloud to zero. So you need to be intentional on how you carve those spaces for yourself so that you can gain the knowledge that you want to gain as you can move forward. You are setting yourself up even in the social settings. Look at your circle, audit your circle, see the kind of people that you have around you, see the kind of information they bring into your life. And if for whatever reason you believe these people are not really bringing the information that I want, they're not bringing the kind of substance that I want, maybe at that specific time, maybe at that point in time, you are the one that is appointed for that circle to lift the circle, to bring the information that you have and the information that you've invested in yourself into that circle. So don't be stingy about the information. Don't be stingy about what you know. I always say that I'm the kind of person that I give people the knowledge that I have. Whatever I know, If you call me and you ask me, I will tell you, I will tell you. Sometimes I'll even do for you, I'll give you ideas about whatever it is, because I have come to learn the importance of knowledge and information sharing, guys. The struggle that we are in now is that we need to stop, harboring information that if you share it, it's going to take it away from you. Because at the end of the day, me sending you information about something, me talking to you about something, doesn't take away the knowledge that I have. It will not diminish it. It will not make it any lesser or anything of that sort. So it only actually makes you a better person, and it opens you up, because the way that other person interprets it might help you to also carve your interpretation a little bit better. Put yourself in these situations and in these stances where you find yourself sharing knowledge with people, even with strangers. Information is one of those things we need to open ourselves up to. Your news apps, go in there, know what's happening in and around you, in and around your country. Understand if you see something trending, do a little bit of desktop research, guys. Hoy the name on your Google search. Understand who we are talking about. If we're talking George Floyd, know who we are talking about. Talking Uinene, know who we are talking about. Understand, so that you get context, so that even when you go onto social media and run your mouth and start riots and spit venom, you know what you are talking about. Because a lot of times we are starting fires on social media and the person doesn't know what they're talking about from above. So like, you just, they're like, Joe, like, at least motivate your statement, so it's important that we get to know about these things. We understand what they are about, Medium, blog posts, Reddit, and then of course we have other information hubs that you can have on your phone, that you can use on your phone. One of my favorite apps is Medium, because even when you go in there, when you hop onto Medium and you open a specific blog post, you can see how long it's going to take you to read it. Sometimes it's like 7 minutes, it's like 8 minutes. It's nothing major, it's nothing big. It's like a small percentage from the time that you use scrolling on Instagram or scrolling on Twitter or whatever it is. So it's those things, it's those kind of things that you can do to just inform yourself, about these things. There are millions of bloggers in the world who are churning out topics each and every single day that you need to know about. So imagine if you gave yourself like 8 to 10 minutes a day. Sometimes even when you go to the loo to do number 2, that rhymes, you just sit there, and for that 8 minutes while you are busy there, you can be reading something quickly, just to get to know what is happening, just to invest in yourself a little bit more, because this is our generation's struggle. Our generation's struggle is not taking to the streets, even though we do, and even though we will, when it's necessary, we will. Kuri singaisusa no magnini, but there are ways that are even more effective, ways that we could educate ourselves on, systems that the government has put in place for lobbying, for things, for us to raise issues with the government, channels that have been opened, through the constitutional court, through the judiciary, through the justice system, through the different systems that we have that might not be working so well. Yes, I agree, they might not be working so well, or might be flawed in their specific way, but channels that we could use, that even though we are demonstrating and we are doing all of these things on the street, we are still channeling those things to ensure that at the end of the day we get the desired results. So I hope you are seeing the comparison that I'm making between 1976 and 2020. 44 years later, guys, the struggle has changed and it has evolved. Is there still a struggle? Of course. The struggle we have currently is between our current self and our potential self, who we can be tomorrow, the potential us, the person that we can invest in today so that they blossom tomorrow, the seeds that we can sow in our lives today so that we can be that edifice and be that tree tomorrow. Because I honestly believe that we all have those seeds of greatness in us. We need to water them, we need to nurture them, we need to put them in the right soil so that they can bear the fruits that they need to bear in our lives. So I hope in this video that we get to learn about these things and we get to go through practical things that I have done in my personal life, that I've always been thinking about, that I think that could help us as a people. And if you think that there are some other things that we could do, to elevate ourselves a little bit, drop that in the comment section. Let the conversation continue. And And of course, hop onto my social media pages as well at Tumi WMJ on all social media platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's video. Do remember to share this link with your friends, your family, and anybody that you think needs to hear this message. Let us spread the fire.
Watinda tina, watinda banga sokufa, safa saphenduka saphenduka nje bovu. Watinda tina, wamodo, mole modo, modo bo. Watinda tina, wamodo, mole modo, mole modo. I